Hello, everyone. My name is Reese Manigan, and I am the director, the writer, co-producer, editor, and star as Richard White in RC Productions' fourth independent feature film, The Wonders of Alice. And due to the situation we're in with the virus and everything, I thought I would do an audio commentary on my favourite feature film I've made so far, which is this one. And also, the sequel is out in September, so I thought also celebrating 15 years of filmmaking, I would do an audio commentary on this movie. So sit back and relax and enjoy as my annoying voice takes over the project. Okay, so the Wonders of Alice backstory is kind of an interesting one. We did a short film back in 2017, me and Charlie. We wanted to do an Alice in Wonderland-like film, but set in a modern day, coming up with a kind of different modernised plot twist due to the success of The Wolf, which was based on Peter and the Wolf. And so we had this little Alice in Wonderland idea we wanted to make, but unfortunately, due to the lead actress being an absolute unprofessional and also a lot of problems on set and everything, we decided to reboot the film and make a completely better, more bigger film. So when me and Charlie got together one day and we were trying to talk about our next feature film, we kept coming back to The Wonders of Alice, and we thought, okay, let's just reboot this into a proper film. And we've actually ended up making probably one of the best movies we've ever made, and we're very proud of this one. Very, 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 very proud of this one, actually. And the reaction for this one has been immensely positive as well. I mean, everyone has said that this is the better film. It's got bigger characters, bigger story. You know, it's definitely much more bigger and more stronger than a more laid-back film that we did with Cash in the Pond, which was 2 years before we made this film in 2017. And here we have the introduction to Alice's life, which is the fact that Alice is living with an alcoholic mother. This is kind of based a little bit around my life because I grew up with an alcoholic dad, and because loads of people often say to me, "Why do you always have alcoholics in your films?" And well, that's kind of the reason why. I mean, it's kind of interesting to base real life situations into your films. It's kind of always an inspiration to kind of do that. But that's one of the ideas I had. I mean, in fact, with the short film, we had that. So I wanted to keep it for the feature film as well because it gives Alice a really good reason to run away from home. And here we have is the wonderful Serena Khan, who plays Alice, who wasn't originally intended to be Alice. In fact, we had Isabel Albert, who was originally going to play Alice in the original ideas when me and Charlie were discussing who to play Alice. But then when I met Serena, the movie completely became a very different film, and it was a much more stronger film, actually, with Serena. In fact, Serena wanted to be part of the project when we met her, but unfortunately we casted everybody for the film. So because of that, we couldn't, unfortunately, have her in the project. But then when Isabel Albert announced that she was ill, just literally before we were about to start shooting, we ended up having Serena in the film playing Alice, and she was very honoured to be part of the film. And I was extremely honoured as well because she is a very incredibly talented actress, and she's also a really good friend. So it was great to finally work with her in this movie. And she did an absolute amazing job playing Alice. We had a very sort of Fantasia-like main title sequence here because this is kind of showing the audience that this is going to be a very big fantasy film, very different from the other projects we've done. This doesn't involve really any gangsters like from Cold Street. It doesn't involve any social workers or business people like in other projects or serial killers. It just involves very bizarre fantasy characters, and this is very Alice in Wonderland-y as well. And also very most comedy, most feature film as well. And this is the first scene with Richard White and Alice, how they first meet. This was a very fun. This was actually the first scenes I filmed with Serena, and I really love this scene because the whole scene and bouncing off each other thing kind of works, and it's kind of funny as well because you would never cast two people really that wouldn't look quite suited to work together, but it turns out the people who you wouldn't think about putting together end up working the best. I mean, it's what happened with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte in 48 Hours. It's what happened with Steve Martin and John Candy in Planes, Trains and Automobiles. You know, it's always about mixing people that you wouldn't think about putting together, and they end up becoming the best duo in the film. And I think this really works in the project. And this was a lot of fun to direct and write as well. It was just so much fun in terms of dialogue and ad-libbing and emotions and expressions and visual acting and everything like that. It was really, really good. We filmed this as well quite early in the summer as well, and it was quite a good time because we managed, as soon as we started filming, we managed to pack quite a lot in quite a short amount of time. And amazingly, when we were filming this in 2018, loads of the actors were kind of free, and some of them were even very dedicated to be part of this movie because they loved the script so much, and that was great. And that's what it's all about. It's all about working together, sticking together, and working. And I think everybody just done an amazing job in this movie. I mean, look at this part here. She really put her effort into this, Serena. I tell you, she really, really did. It's just the personality that works as well, the emotions and the acting, you know. If you just put them together, it kind of really bounces and makes a really effective film. The costume as well that I chose was, I wanted to look very con artisty because it's a modernised Alice in Wonderland film. I thought, what could Richard White be? And I imagined him as this sort of leather waistcoated sort of top hat. Well, not top hat, kind of a con artisty kind of hat look, with a collared shirt and kind of like a very sort of cockney sort of character that, you know, tries to talk and manipulate people into buying something that they shouldn't, and obviously they do, but also he's not very good at his job. It's kind of like a mix between Malcolm McDowell and Danny Dyer and maybe a bit of Michael Caine as well thrown into it as well. But obviously, with my character being such an energetic character, he's kind of a bit of Jim Carrey thrown in, I guess, as well. Great sound effects thrown into that as well. People often said to me, what did you visualise Wonderland to be? And I said, I could just imagine it being a forest where these weird people live in, and they kind of like to just wander around. But in a way, Wonderland is kind of like a very Britishy kind of urban area as well. It's kind of like a normal world, but it's not normal. It's kind of like a disguise of Earth, and also something very different from other, you know, different places, different cities. But in a way, it's kind of like a reflective side of London with a bit of nice woodland thrown into it. But, you know, these characters Alice encounters, they're not really supposed to be human. They're supposed to be identity characters that have been in this area for a long, long time, and this is what they've been born to look in for, you know? And that's what they're supposed to be. That's kind of what I had the idea to throw into anyway, as well. And everybody didn't really seem to care about the fantasy side. They kind of just went along with it, and that was the good thing. But, you know, Wonderland is supposed to be crazy. The locations aren't supposed to be, you know, great. So, you know, they're not supposed to be made, you know, they're not supposed to make sense. So, Beau there plays double. And I asked if he could, you know, if there was a way he could pick up Serena in this scene. And he did. He actually really did. He picked her up very well, and it was easy for him to do. And it worked very well. I mean, I was going to add a scream sound effect in there, but then I thought, well, no, I can't because Richard can't hear what's going on. So, you know. But this was quite a fun scene to do. We filmed this in Campbell Park in Milton Keynes. And Swaley and Beau play Double and Trouble, which are, of course, a modernised version of Tweedledee Tweedledum. Obviously, I imagine these two playing these sort of dangerous Cockney hard men that aren't actually very hard at all. They're to be honest, they can't even punch their way out of a paper bag, let alone try and be dangerous. But I just imagine them wearing like these jail jumpsuits as well, and you know, just showing that they're these sort of escaped dangerous lunatics that, you know, try and show how dangerous they can be, you know. I just love Serena's acting throughout the entire lot. She really bounces throughout the entire scenes, and every character she mixes with, it just looks incredibly. It just looks incredibly well done, and I just love it. And I also love the locations that I've chosen because look at all that space, and there's no one around, and The lighting's even perfect as well in this scene. It was just everything about this scene was perfect as well, along with other parts as well. I think what I love about this scene as well is there's so much comedy involved as well. And I think it really does have a lot of great British humour that I've had to throw into it. I mean, Monty Python and silly sitcoms and loads of comedy movies are always an inspiration for these. And I think Monty Python was definitely the best inspiration in terms of movie making as well. And the sound effects are just absolutely bizarre. But that was on purpose. All the sound effects were on purpose. I know what the crazy ones were going to work and which ones wasn't, and this one definitely worked. Especially right there, grabbing his nuts. There's a great crunch in there. I mean, because I was thinking, what on earth does grabbing testicles actually sound like? And I thought, well, it doesn't really have a sound effect. But if you want to make it sound painful, make it sound like you're cracking a bone or cracking actual peanuts or something. I just love that part where Beau lays on Swaley. That's such a great bit there. In fact, that was all ad-libbed, but it was just fantastic. Yeah, and a lot of swearing as well. I remember someone actually said to me, "Is this going to be a kids' movie if it's based on Alice in Wonderland?" I was like, "Nope, it's going to be nothing but swearing and fighting, and I just don't make kids' movies. Unfortunately, I just can't do it. It's just something that I do not make. I mean, I never have. I just don't really make many kids' movies. Because I'm not really a kid-friendly movie-making person. I like to make films that you can swear and stuff like that, because it's fun. It makes the comedy even better. Although, visual comedy is pretty good as well, I mean, Mr. Bean, Charlie Chaplin, that's always a good inspiration as well to throw into it, so. This scene right here, actually, with the sandwich, Serena actually had a sandwich in her bag to bring for lunch, and we decided to use it as the actual prop. And I had to do this scene. Well, we had to do this scene like 3, 4 times, and poor Serena was literally running out of the sandwich while she was eating it in different takes. And I had to go up and down the stairs and give her the sandwich, and she had to kind of cover it with her hands and pretend she was holding this massive sandwich. And I had to go, "Oh yeah, it's kitten cubes and hippo steak and everything." And she was literally like, "Oh okay," and she had to pretend she was actually munching on this massive sandwich throughout the entire film. The dialogue in this scene as well, I was a bit worried about this scene that it was going to be a bit too draggy, but actually everyone liked this scene. I was quite surprised, but I think the reason they like this scene is because it really does explain to the audience what is going on more with Wonderland. You kind of understand Richard and Alice a bit more in the scene. They really do begin to bond, and like I said as well, you wouldn't see these two really get together in terms of a bonding session, but in fact it's kind of like a therapy scene. Really, they're kind of really expressing their feelings of what's going on and how they feel, and it's kind of good to see it more in the actual in the dialogue scenes. But I just get worried that these scenes kind of drag, but luckily everybody loved this scene, so I was pretty happy with the result. So this is kind of like the introduction scene explaining the princess, and this is kind of me just basically saying, I love that part with the shoulder. I was just basically explaining the scene where this is kind of like showing that this is the introduction of the princess and everything, and this is kind of to show, right, this is where all the darkness and the dangers now about to come, and it's kind of like, right, so this is not going to be an easy ride for these characters. They are going to face deadly dangers and everything like that. And people often said to me, "Why did you have a princess as a villain?" Well, the reason I chose a princess was because I didn't want to use the Queen of Hearts or anything like that, or an actual queen, because I thought I didn't really want to have an old lady or a middle-aged lady become the main villain of Wonderland, and then she's trying to kill a little girl. I wanted to really kind of make it better and different by having maybe the Queen of Hearts, but imagine if she was a young 18, 19-year-old, but she'd turn into this really sort of dangerous character that really wanted to, not only just control Wonderland, but kind of wanted to show that she was obsessed with power, as she felt like her parents were weak and were silly and they couldn't rule anything, and they were kind of embarrassing her in a way, and kind of you know, because I didn't really want to show a very spoiled character, because otherwise it would have been a bit too cliche. But she just really wanted to control things in her own way, because she didn't like the way her parents rule Wonderland. And also as well, the character of the princess is actually based off a few college girls that I used to know back in college, who were proper right nasty young ladies, and they were just so nasty. I mean, how one of the conversations come about was, I was sitting in this college canteen, and there was these two girls, and they were chatting like really loudly while I was eating my lunch, and they was on a different table. And one of them goes, "My boyfriend said no to me. If he says no to me again, I'm going to kill him." And I thought, wow, these girls are absolutely nutty and deadly. So I was like, there's no way that, you know, like, I had to think of a way of a character literally becoming something like that. And, you know, there's a lot of people that I have met or seen in the background where I've kind of gone, they've inspired me. They've inspired me, you know. And those girls from college did inspire me for my main villain character. And so we had our princess. And the princess, which is just about to come up now, is played by an amazing actress called Alex Johnstone. In fact, meeting her was kind of a very funny coincidence, because I was going through all these show reels in terms of finding the best actress to play the princess. And all these show reels I found, all these show reels were just all these actresses being depressed and, oh, my life is over, oh, my child is gone, oh, my husband's beating me, you know, just basically depressing stuff. Everyone was crying in these show reels. So I was like, right, do you know what? I need to actually find an actress that can do this job, but while also being funny, because this has got to be a comedy. I don't want someone depressed and, you know, sad. So when I found Alex's show reel, it was actually a really funny show reel. It had good comedy in it. You know, it was also like banterish. It was nutty. It was funny. And I liked it. But also I remember pausing the video at one point, and it showed Alex having this sort of like really devilish looking smile. And I thought, right, that's my villain. That is my villain. I've got to get in contact with this actress. So we followed each other on Instagram. And then when she followed me back, I messaged her and spoke to her about the role. She was interested. She read the script. She loved it. But it was also because she was based in Manchester and I'm based in London. It was all about how the hell are we going to work together? So I went all the way to Manchester to meet her, to talk about the role and just see if she was still interested. She still was. And we ended up working together, I think a month later after meeting up, and luckily she only had to come to Milton Keynes twice to do her scenes, and she honestly did such an amazing job playing the role. And to be honest, she is actually still one of the best villains I've ever created, and one of my favourite actresses I've worked with. And I'd definitely love to work with her again if I ever get the chance. Hopefully in the future at some point, but we'll see. But yeah, so this next part now is obviously the flashback to the princess, showing an introduction to her very quickly. Also, Rennie played her dad, Rennie Costa, who, you know, I love working with, and he's obviously the guy who I always have to put in every film that I do, every feature film now and everything. So it was great to have him on board playing the king, and he just did a hilarious job doing that role. Charlie actually filmed some of these scenes. He, you know, because he's part of the behind the scenes as well. He filmed these scenes and did a really good job with the shots. And I especially love this part here where they're chatting. It's really funny. Adding Meatloaf being the director's cut was the funniest part. It's kind of funny as well to show Richard's hate for the princess, because you find out why. Because some people are like, oh yeah, you know, why do people hate her? And the funny joke is what would happen if the princess kept forgetting Richard's name and just kept calling him, you know, Roger or Rupert or Reginald or something. And Alex did that joke so well in the scene as well. In fact, we had a couple of deleted scenes in the film. We had a scene where the princess actually meets up with Richard personally, and basically she was going to use his con artist skills to manipulate people, but he didn't want to join her. But the reason I deleted it was because I didn't want to, you know, the film, I didn't want to overlong on the film, and it didn't feel very relevant in the end. And instead we decided to cut through here where the princess meets her, and this is where they finally meet. Well, not meet, but they kind of know each other a little bit. I just love the face expression. If you watch here what I do, I make funny faces to her, and then it's kind of love that part right there where I'm just making funny faces, and I'm just like, I don't like you. These two were fantastic together. Really great chemistry. This is what I wanted. She looks like a hero. She looks like a villain. Serena is a hero. Alex is the villain. And they just look really good together as competitors. And this is what I wanted. This is what I mean. I didn't want a middle-aged woman playing a queen doing this. This is what I wanted. They're both like the same age. They both look the same height. They've even both got sort of similar looks now and again, personality-wise, everything. And this is what I just wanted. I really wanted to see this. Two of the main characters going head to head, and because of the looks, it just works so well. And the good thing is these two got on really well when they first met, which was great. And they both just really did an amazing job playing together, honestly. They really, really did. And I'm so happy that I got these two playing the enemies of each other. They just did such an amazing job. I just love how manipulative Alex plays her character. When I told her how manipulative she was going to be in the film, I didn't realise she was really going to put it off so well. And Serena's acting as Alice. I love how naive and confused she is, but at the same time she's still thinking, is this really a good idea? Is this really going to work? I just love the expressions. You just know what they're thinking, and every actor, most of these actors did an amazing job doing that. It wasn't just about the dialogue, it was all about the visuals. I mean, look there, do you know what I mean? It's just all about the facial expressions. And that's what Alex and Serena and everybody, and Charlie, Sammy, Lauren, Miriam, they all pulled it off so well. I just love that shot here with the sunlight. That was Charlie's idea. It looks absolutely beautiful. And here we are with one of the funniest scenes in the film with Charlie, Sammy, and Lauren. Three of some of the best people I could ever work with. I mean, obviously Charlie as my best mate, but Lauren and Sammy as well. I just love working with those guys. And this day, when we filmed this scene, was just honestly one of the funniest days ever. We had such a laugh filming this because there was a bit of Adlib in, yeah, and a bit of made up stuff going on, but it was just laughing so much behind the scenes, and we ended up talking more about hobnobs than actually filming an entire scene as well. It was just really funny. Charlie really steals the show doing his Tourette's. I mean, everybody who watched this at the premiere was absolutely wetting themselves laughing at his Tourette's parts and everything, and everybody just did an incredible job. And that's Lauren as well, playing Doreen. Doreen, who's actually the Dormouse. Obviously, Michael Hare is the March Hare. Lauren wasn't originally supposed to be in the film. We did have another actress playing Doreen, but she pulled out last minute. And when I spoke to Lauren and asked if she wanted to be in the film, she said yeah. And Lauren did an amazing job. I mean, Lauren, I actually worked with on Slice Like a Fox, did an amazing job in that movie as well. She's a very talented actress. I loved working with her. And Sammy as well. I mean, he's, I've worked with him in pretty much loads and loads of films. We did The Wolf, and we've done... what else have we done? Did The Donkey just recently for me. He's done loads of films. I mean, do you know what? He's an incredible actor. But not only is he an incredible actor, but he's also a very funny actor, and he pulls off his facial expressions and his crazy, hilarious talking off so well as well in this movie. I just love it. I just love how she delivers that dialogue. That's what I loved about Lauren, is that because Doreen's character is more of like, I don't give a fuck kind of character. She's like, I don't give a shit about what anybody thinks. I don't give a shit what you guys do. And when she delivered that line, you creepy miserable fucks, that's just some of the best bits of delivery of dialogue ever. And this part right here, there you go. See what I mean? Just proper nutty acting right here. And this is what I wanted, though. And it just makes it so funny. Because it's just meant to be over the top, silly, and ridiculous. And I stand corrected. Oh dear. That part there where Lauren's going, I had to repeat that because it just made it for great comedy as well. And she screamed was Adlib. This part was a little bit ad-libbed as well. I actually put one of my business cards on the table, literally there, because I said cards are on the table. Just thought it would be funny if I pulled out an actual card and stuck it on the table. Plus, it's a good Alice in Wonderland reference, you know, cards. I just thought it'd be really funny as well to have a character become obsessed with Alice, and the fact that Michael Hare sort of becomes in love with her because he just seems to look at her and think, oh wow, she's nice, I want her. I just thought that'd just be a really funny little subplot for the characters, because these characters have got to have a reason to follow Alice. Hattington hates Richard, you know, they've got a really bad competitive streak. And Michael Hare is kind of like, oh, I like the look of Alice, I want her. So that's when they start to have a reason to follow her. And that is because he starts to become obsessed with her. And everyone thought the plot was hilarious, so it goes really well. Everything that I managed to do was very well received, so I'm happy with that. Finest acting as well from Charlie right there. Charlie, I mean, these three, they did definitely steal the show in the film. And Alex, as well as the princess, definitely stole the show, I think, as well. And here we go with Chastain Cathy, which is played by a very good friend of mine, Miriam Doggan, who, by the way, was the original Chastain Cathy in the other Wonders of Alice. And also she was the only original character or the only original actor to come back playing that role, because me and Miriam got on really well on the set of The Wonders of Alice, and that was the first time we worked together. And I wanted her to come back and play Chastain Cathy, and she agreed, and she was happy to come back and do it. Only instead of playing a fairy, we changed her into a fortune teller. And look at that costume. Just an amazing costume. Really put the effort in. And it was incredible. The only thing we managed to forget was the crystal ball. So we didn't have one, unfortunately. So instead, we managed to get a giant rug. We got the costume, so that worked. And Miriam just done an amazing job. And yes, Serena had to take off her shoes here because we didn't want to mess up the rug. But also, it makes, you know, everybody feel comfortable, so it's all cool. But I just love as well, what I love about this film, what I'm very happy about, is not only is there more actresses in this film, but the fact as well is that the colours, I mean, look how colourful this scene is and how colourful the actual movie is. I remember saying to the actors, their costumes, they had to wear very colourful costumes, very colourful colours. You know, they had to really kind of stand out more than anything. Kind of dress up like things that you wouldn't really dress in. So like, you know, Double and Trouble, they wear gel jumpsuits. Me, I'm wearing a leather waistcoat. Miriam's wearing a fortune teller looking, you know, she's got beads on her head, etc. Look at those earrings as well. You know, I mean, and obviously Alice is the only character that dresses up normal in the film, and that's what I wanted. You know, Alice is dressed up like a normal dressed character, and yet you've got all these other characters that are dressed up in a completely different fashion, and that's what I really wanted as well. So every character in this film had to stand out, and luckily everybody put in the effort, and they did such an incredible job. They really, really did. I mean, especially the ballroom scene, which comes up later, when everybody dresses up, they just look incredible. They really do. And when that comes out, we'll talk more about that when the costumes show in the film. It's quite suspenseful, this scene. When the silence comes in, it is actually quite suspenseful, and also the camera movement shows what's going to happen and like what's next, what's going to come, you know. And then when she does that, it's kind of like, oh, she's going to say something, you know. I kind of wanted to do quite a suspenseful scene in this movie, and in a way, it is kind of suspenseful, and in a way, it's a tiny bit creepy, just a little bit good creepy, not bad creepy, if there is such thing as good creepy. But I mean for the film, not for the acting and stuff, just for the scene and the set. Only till now she realises he's gone, and there I am. And yeah, this scene here, this was such a funny scene to do. Because Beau delivering his dialogue of "you grabbed my balls" and it really and you said some things that made me cry. We had to do about 6 takes because the thing is, Beau's character had to say it really like "you grab my balls" sort of thing. And oh my god, when he delivers it, it was so funny, and I just couldn't know which one to pick because they were all so funny. So I picked this part because I also like Swaley's little bit where he says, "Yeah, you bully." I kind of liked how they threw that in, and it was great to have these two characters back into the scene because they play a massive good part in this. It's kind of like another blockage to Richard and Alice's adventure. These two are just want revenge. They don't like the fact that Richard White, has conned them again, and it's just great. And the scenes where they had to punch each other in the face and stuff, that was such a fun thing too because we had to say, I remember saying, "Beau, you punch Swaley. Swaley, you punch Beau. Bang, bang, bang." And I just kept saying to him, "Punch each other one by one by one." And then it just completely escalated into this hilarious scene. And just, it's just so funny. It's just adding the sound effects that make it so hilarious. I mean, what was amazing was that the punches actually look so real. And when you add the sound effects in, that's what makes it brilliant. And it just makes it look so ridiculous. Very sort of Looney Tunes kind of style. But I'll tell you what, Beau and Swaley did actually remind me a little bit of Home Alone burglars, Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern. And they actually did remind me of them as well when we did the Christmas special as well. They just had a really good job playing that role. And I remember this scene as well. We kept having loads of bloopers. Miriam forgot her line. Serena forgot her line. I was actually the only one that was winning in this scene. I was actually the only one that didn't forget their lines or dialogue for once. And here come the 3 very hilarious musketeers. And I love the dialogue in this scene because what I love about this scene is I wanted to create a funny argument with these characters. They're not focusing on finding Richard or Alice. They're just moaning about, something very completely different. But Hattington's the only one who's really focused, and Michael Hare and Doreen are not. They're just kind of like, look, why do we have to do this? I can't be bothered with this, And Hattington's like, we got to do this, we've got to get revenge, That part right there is great. I remember everybody was laughing so much at that part, especially with the added sound effect with the dunk on the head. I mean, how can you not find that hilarious? And also, that was another great day of the part with the scene in the film, so it was good. I love that edit as well when it cuts to that. And Lauren, again, brings great dialogue out of that. What the fuck was that? That part was structured so fantastically. I loved it. I can't get over my face expressions in this. I actually do look like a cartoon character. This was quite fun to do because I remember when I said to Sammy, he's got to react more like he's worried because he loves Alice, and he's obsessed with her and he doesn't want her to die. Meanwhile, there's Hattington in the background and he's literally wanting them to get killed. It's quite funny how all these characters have opposite needs, but the film idea is basically each of these characters do have needs in the film, and so that's what we was going for. The effects here with the explosions and stuff were all done by green screen effect and everything, and luckily it all kind of worked. And that golden rose right there is a little prop that I managed to get. It's made out of plastic. But I tell you what, it actually looks really more. It looks like metal. Even though no one touches it, it looks like metal. But actually, it isn't. It is actually made out of plastic. But it was perfect to use for the role. And Sammy Adlib that bit there where he faints. Oh dear. And this is everybody's favourite scene in the entire film. This is the ballroom scene. This is honestly one of the best scenes I think I've ever directed in any film that I've done so far. Reason being is because it's not a very rushed scene. It's not a 2 minute scene. It's not just a full dialogue scene. It's not a 4 minute scene, 6 minute scene. It's actually a 15-minute scene from start to finish. From the start of the balloon part, all the way to when the princess gets knocked out. It's just a full, great, massive, epic, crazy scene. And these guys here, these guys are they are friends of mine, but they're also nice people that wanted to be extras in the film. We've got Rennie's wife Jill, we've got my friend Elika in the film as well. They all decided to come and help out. It was all great, everyone did a fantastic job being extras in this movie. We wanted to get as many people as we could in this scene. Unfortunately, Miriam couldn't do it because she was ill, which was really annoying. And also, we did have another actor to play another character, but he decided not to show up, so I axed him from the film. Unfortunately, if you don't show up for filming because of a stupid reason, because apparently his reason was, I didn't want to come because I just didn't want to. So if you're going to be like that, you don't work with me, unfortunately. So can't work with lazy actors, unfortunately. I just love that bit there. My face expression's like, what? I love it. And here, Rennie and Steve Crawshaw. Steve Crawshaw's a good friend of mine. He came all the way down to do his role playing Dr. Dodo, and he did an amazing job playing this role. Hope to work with him again soon. And he was great. He's always a laugh to work on set as well. And in the background, as you can see behind Rennie, is my good friend Lucy Lewendon as well, who plays Katie Pillar. She'll be in a proper scene soon. So that was a really good day as well filming. This is one of my favourite parts right here. Although we had to do many takes because, unfortunately, Rennie and Steve were always late reacting to Charlie walking in the door. But luckily, we managed to get the scene. But this part is just hilarious. And everyone had to dress up in a posh, sort of classy way. Lauren's dress literally has White Rabbit on it from Alice in Wonderland, which was brilliant. So great little reference there. And this is one of my favourite scenes as well. I love that part. I remember when we were filming that part, we did that in 2 takes. We did a wide shot of it, but it wasn't as funny. Then I thought it'd be funny if we did a zoom in on his face. So as soon as Beau says, I've already eaten all those, the camera goes right up to Charlie, and then he goes, I don't like that man. And then, oh my God, the delivery was just hilarious. And the thing is as well, it's a very stupid scene as well. It's all about breadsticks. I mean, come on. How was that even not funny? Come on. Oh dear. These two are great together. I mean, everybody had great chemistry on screen, and the fact that these two as well did just made it up for the entire comedy. I mean, Lauren and Charlie did really well working together. This bit even works as well, especially when Alex comes into the scene. Yeah. 2 villains mixing together. That's kind of the little reference there. 2 enemies brought together. And this is one of the funniest scenes as well. I mean, what I had to do is, because there were some cheese balls available, my character had to look like he was doing something. So I thought, wouldn't it be funny if he was just eating, and then he's just like, okay, let's go for it. And the dancing scene was it wasn't actually difficult to film. I mean, what we had to do is we had to make sure everybody was together, and, we had to make sure there was a space for everybody to dance in, and there was a set and everything. And luckily, everybody had a scene and place to put in their case. And amazingly, everybody had a good spot to do their dancing. And that was a good reaction there from Alice there, like, I don't really want to do this. And we even have a good reaction bit here where, when Hatton shouts and the extras look beyond the background. Right there, that's what I wanted. That was really, really good scene right there. And I think that's the last time Hatton shouts as well. But yeah, the dancing scenes were fun, because the funny thing is, no one was dancing to any music. Everyone was like, where's the music? Where's the music? And I was like, there's not going to be any music. I'm going to add it later. But people were like, I don't know what to dance to. And I was like, it's easy. Just dance to pretend you're dancing. So it was so funny, because everybody didn't know what the hell they were dancing to. But that was fine, because I told them what music it was going to be in the scene. But yet they were moaning because they didn't know what they were dancing to. But if I added music in this scene, it was going to be really hard to edit. But now look at it. It's edited absolutely fine. And the music's in the background. What's the problem? It's all done. Everything's perfect. Everybody's dancing. Everybody's got music in the background. So it works. No more complaining. And that part just works. Quick reaction editing right there. Me and Charlie love that part. Well, I want that rose. Bosh, straight in. And obviously, great little part here from Lauren. But this just shows how important the character Doreen really is to the scene, because you're really seeing her swap sides now. She doesn't really want to be part of Hamilton or Michael Hare. She'd rather actually stick up for Richard White. And it just kind of shows a turn for her character. In a way, she becomes more of the hero than the other characters do. But this is what I'm saying. It is a more strongly feminist kind of film. And this is one of my favourite chase scenes ever. What do you do in a chase scene when a character's chasing another character in a dancing ballroom set? And I love the reactions here from Alice, because this is showing that even though Alice isn't really part of all this, she knows there's something not going on. And this is one of my favourite parts right here. What we did for this is there was no music playing. So Charlie, while I was filming, was saying, dance to rock, dance to pop, dance to classical, dance to this. And everybody really gave it their all in this scene. They just, honestly, I mean, look at that. It's just hilarious. I mean, I just love, I mean, you have to watch this again and again, but everybody does a great dance move. And it's just like, I mean, it's a perfect Charlie and Reese moment that we did, where we end up making characters dance to music you didn't know they were going to dance to. But everybody just went along with it. And you know what? I'm so glad they did. Everybody who's watching this right now, you are terrific sports, and I love you for it. This is definitely Alex's best moment in the film. I think out of all the parts she does, this is the best scene, because this is showing that the princess is becoming very manipulative, and what she wants is she wants Alice as a possession. Alice is like her good luck charm, like her horseshoe, like her four-leaf clover, and she thinks that Alice is the key to get what she wants. But obviously now when she realises she's got Alice for that, and now she's got power and control, she can now take over. And that's what it was. It just shows that the princess is really starting to turn into a very psychotic character. And Alex just pulled it off so well. She really, really did. And I love when everybody reacts to, oh my God, you know, she's going to not change her ways. And it's just brilliant. There's a part where they ad-lib. And this part. They did a really amazing job with this part. That was not even scripted, and they did an amazing job with that little part right there. And this is kind of showing that all the villains are teaming up. You know, everybody's going to get together, and they're all going to start trying to help take over into Wonderland, you know. And I just think it just, the whole set, like the shot right there with all of them there, this part where they push the extras into the window, like this entire lot is just, it makes the film so much better. Like, it just looks like a really great scene and part, you know. And Richard as well, so finally stands up to the princess as well. One shot there, done it very well. Although I had to hit my head right there. I actually did end up whacking my head on the floor when I landed. And as you can see, I was a little bit like, oh, but luckily I just carried on. And the sound effects, again, they work well with the violent scenes. And, you know, it actually does look like I headbutted there. And I actually look like I got kicked there. It does turn into quite a very violent. But it's showing that the movie is getting darker and darker as it goes along. And, you know, characters are going to end up getting killed. And characters are going to end up getting slaughtered and fighting and everything. It's just, you know, it's kind of showing that everything now is turned into a really dark moment now. And things aren't looking good for the characters. And everyone is now stuck in peril, you know. And as I was saying about the costumes, you know, everybody's got different costumes on for the dance scenes, everything as well. You know, everybody just had to bring something to make them look like they were actually going to a ballroom session, and they did a really fantastic job. Everybody's ad-libbing in this scene. I told them just to ad-lib because the characters are trying to get out, and they're like, nope, stay in, stay over on the wall, you know. And Charlie did this shot as well. He did a really good job with this scene as well. And again, this shows another little part how important Doreen is to the character and to the scene. sneaking out the door. Luckily, we were allowed to film outside. In fact, the entire hallway was hired. It was in Fishermead and Milton Keynes, and they only charged £100 to film, just for a few hours. And luckily, we managed to borrow, and we started filming quite early. I think we started filming about 10 o'clock in the morning. Everyone had to arrive at 9, but we got there at 10. But everyone started filming at 10, and we were there till like I think 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We were there. We were filming all day. And because it was winter as well, it was getting dark really early. You can see the sun setting in the background as well. But we were just like, come on, we've got to film this before it gets dark. And luckily we finished filming about 6, so everyone was wrapped and everyone was good. This scene right here really adds again to more great comedy, because it's all just about, again, the visual reactions, and look at the facial expressions to all the characters in this scene. And you just got like, how do we react to this scene? Do we feel like we need to feel sick? Do we need to vomit? Do we need to think what the hell is going on? And it just works so well. Like, I just love it. And then we don't really find out what happens to Hattington and Michael after this. They just get completely knocked out, and then that's it. No more done. Actually, there was a deleted scene we had where when Alice goes back home, Michael Hare stalked Alice and then goes after her, and then she ends up killing him and dumping his body in the river. But we changed that because I thought, to be honest, I didn't really want to turn Alice into a blooming serial killer. And also, it just didn't feel very relevant. And it felt like Michael Hare, again, was like the main villain and not the princess. So we had to change that scene as well. So, yeah, we deleted that scene as well. And I'm glad we did, because it just felt very irrelevant, really. It just felt very irrelevant to the entire lot. And this scene, these scenes where the characters are running, we had to actually speed it up a little bit, because the characters weren't running very fast enough. So the scenes where they're running, and the scenes where the two girls are fighting, we actually had to speed that up a little bit, because I didn't actually want them to actually go and kill each other. I was saying to them, just fight very slowly and very carefully. And then during the editing, I fast forward it. And as you can see here, it actually looks like they're really going for each other and they're really trying to kill each other. It just worked so well for the actual movie. I loved it. More Adlib in there. I'll kill you and everything. And just great fighting scenes there, and this part here works really. I remember everyone goes, oh, in this bit. Oh, yeah, you can feel the pain. It's great. I mean, the sound effects, again, they just work. I mean, the sound effects is what made the film really work as well with each bit. And I'm glad it does, because I was really worried about the sound effects. I didn't think they would work. But amazingly, it does. The whole sound effects do. Again, a little funny cutaway gag right there. And I'm really funny with it. That was a great funny bit where she turns crazy. I mean, with the actors, when they were going crazy, I just told them, I just said, look, ad-lib it, just go nuts. It's all about having fun, just do it. And they did. They all did a great job. And this is Lucy Llewellyn playing Katie Pillar. First time working with her in this film. First time working with her ever in this scene as well, because brand new, and obviously I needed a soldier actress. We did have someone already to play Katie Pillar, but again, they turned it down. So we got Lucy Llewellyn, and she was definitely the Katie Pillar for this role. Did an amazing job for this scene. Very funny as well. I love how the scenes kind of are very bubbly and they just flow so well in this. And again, the colours and the lighting, because of the sunshine. I mean, again, as I said, we filmed this in the summer, and it just looked absolutely incredible. I just love the colours in this movie. And the scene where the princess fights Alice definitely hints scenes from The Shining, like the maze scenes, the stalking, chasing, parts. I mean, obviously, The Shining is my favourite movie ever, and there's definitely hints of The Shining thrown into this, and I wanted to add that sort of horror element to it. And it just adds very well to sort of making the film kind of scary. Like right here with the stalking right there, just love that part where the princess is stalking right there. There's another bit right there with the princess. It just looks so dark and spooky. A lot of gun sound effects in this, but it all kind of works. And poor Alex, she was like, "What do I do?" And I just said to her, "Look, just pretend that she's there. You're stalking, you're shooting, you're both going for each other. Just keep it going. Just keep adding to it." And we finally got our first taste of blood here as well. Right there, yeah, there you go, loads of fake blood as well. It was quite fun pouring the fake blood scenes because we had to be careful where we was actually putting. I said, right, we have to make sure we put it on the right mark where she gets shot, and also a good blood effect here. Also, that was quite difficult to do because it was all about, can we actually put the blood effect on Alex's head when Alice shoots her, and amazingly, it worked. So we had no problem. And we're finally back straight to home. And I'm very surprised at this, but people actually were crying at the end of this movie. People did actually cry at the end of the premiere, and I was very surprised because obviously the director's cut is a bit longer. People did actually cry at this scene, and I was actually very shocked. I didn't think people would actually think the movie was very sad, but actually they did cry. But this is a very touching scene as well, and it just shows that Alice and Richard, they've been through so much together. They do really care for each other, and Richard doesn't want to prove that he does care for Alice, but he does. And when you see the sequel, you'll see more as well of their friendship, as it goes along. So it's really, really good. And this has got a few little laughs as well, just that little bit. You've got to add the comedy sometimes to the little sad moments. But this part was the most touching. The fact that when Alice makes it back home and, her mum's looking for her, and she's played by Sylvana, really lovely friend of mine who doesn't really do acting. She only does extra acting, but she's done a really fantastic job playing the mother. And in fact, this made it such a touching scene. I mean, I remember some people in the premiere were actually like sort of sniffing and going, ooh. I made them cry. I never thought I could make them cry in the cinema, but I did. And there you go, guys. That is finally the end of the Wonders of Alice audio commentary. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you liked this, I'll be happy to do more audio commentaries on my other feature films. Please comment and let me know. But I've had a lot of fun making this film. I really, really did. And I want to thank again all my cast, all my crew for being involved in helping me with this movie. You guys were all amazing. I love you all. You're fantastic. And yeah, just thank you again very much. And I hope you guys are looking forward to the sequel, because I definitely am. So yeah, just keep an eye out for the sequel, and I will speak to you guys again very soon. Thank you very much, everybody.